Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Santa Monica on a Monday night. This is a really great and rare opportunity to hear from a courageous and dedicated human rights activist. I just want to say a few words about our guest, Leo, before I turn the podium over to him. Leo Igwe founded the Nigerian Humanist Movement and the Nigerian Skeptic Society and was the director of the Center for Inquiry in Nigeria. He represented the International Humanist and Ethical Union in West and Southern Africa and at the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Leo is now pursuing a PhD at the University of Bayreuth in Germany, where his research is on witchcraft accusations and their social impacts. Through his work in the field and in academia, he aims to better understand the causes of harmful and unfounded beliefs across the continent, as well as to help combat them through educating the public both here in the U.S. and abroad. In partnership with the James Randi Educational Foundation, Leo works to respond to growing superstitions throughout Africa, including belief in pseudoscientific medicine and witchcraft, which can result in the murder of adults and children alike. His articles have appeared in Free Inquiry, Skeptical Inquirer, the Australian periodical The Skeptic, Skeptic Magazine, International Humanist News, Secular World, The Free Thinker, Freethought Today, and in other media publications in Africa and beyond. He has been featured in several radio, television, and internet podcasts, including the BBC. He regularly reports on the state of superstition and paranormal belief in Africa at randi.org with his column, Skeptical Africa. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Leo Igwe.
Thank you, James, for the introduction. And thank you, friends, for inviting me to address you today. This is my second time speaking to atheists, agnostics, humanists, secularists in a Unitarian Universalist church. Last year, I spoke in a church in San Antonio in Texas. And I must say that the idea of an atheist speaking in a church is still something unthinkable in my own part of the world. Anyway, this is a clear indication that the church in America has evolved away from the church in Africa. Personally, I am intrigued by this notion of a church, the Unitarian Universalist notion of a church. It testifies not just to our evolution as human beings, but to the evolution of our beliefs. It clearly demonstrates the intellectual journey, growth, and transformation in this part of the world. It shows that religions change and can change over time in the light of new knowledge and information to suit and serve the needs of human beings. Friends, right here, I can feel it. I can feel the idea of a church serving the needs of human beings and not the other way around. It may interest you to know that I have had the rare privilege of speaking in a church in two capacities in my life. First, in my early years as a young Catholic seminarian, I spoke and preached the Word of God in a church. And now, as an atheist and humanist leader, I've spoken in a church, but in an American church, in a Unitarian Universalist church, to promote the message of reason, of rational compassion, critical thinking, and human rights. So I come from a part of the world where the notion of a church necessarily implies a belief in a God or a need for a supernatural creator, a subscription or embrace of a notion of a deity that is worshipped, a God that answers prayers and actively intervenes in natural and human affairs. I come from a part of the world where many religious people are reluctant to embarking on this intellectual and cultural journey that has brought the American church to this curious and interesting point. So the traditional notion of a church that excludes atheists, agnostics, humanists, secularists still persists in my own region. But that is not your own notion of a church, of this church. Your church includes non-theists and infidels. Yours is a church that welcomes non-theists, not as sinners, not as fools, according to the psalmist, but as fellow travelers in a world of wonders. Yours is a church whose members focus on creating meaning in our lives in the here and now, not in the hereafter. Yours is a church of people who value dialogue with those who profess other beliefs, those with dissenting views and opinions. Yours is a church of people who think non-theists have something to offer humanity. And I must say, this is a notion of a church, or as the case may be, a mosque. A Unitarian Universalist mosque. Why not? That should be explored and promoted across the world to heal the deep divide that has characterized the relationship between theists and non-theists since human beings invented religion and God. This divide is at the root of many wars, violent clashes, conflicts, bloodshed, jihad, acts of inquisition, terrorism, religious persecution that plague and still plague our world. So I want to salute all of you for the work you are doing here, countering the threats of religious conservatism and fanaticism in the areas of education, human rights, and politics. It is not only here in America that religious conservatives and theocrats oppose private and civil rights on scriptural grounds. In Nigeria, Uganda, Ghana, Egypt, Libya, and other parts of Africa, conservatives oppose the rights of gays, women, and children on biblical and Quranic grounds. They want their holy books to be the basis of our laws, our constitution, and our policies, even when these scriptures contain conflicting and contradictory teachings on social issues. In my country, these conservatives want to force laws forged centuries ago on the people. They think that the laws of their religion, as codified, for instance, in the Sharia law, are superior to state or what they call human-made laws. You must have heard that in northern Nigeria, Islamists are waging a violent campaign against Western education. And yesterday or the day before yesterday, they attacked a school, killing over 30 pupils in furtherance of their campaign to impose an Islamic state. So friends, it is not only in America that pious minds on school boards are trying to inject superstition into science classrooms, or political leaders blame God or the devil for their failures. I want to tell you, you are not alone in these struggles. Atheists, agnostics, humanists, and secularists in other parts of the world, particularly in Africa, find themselves in similar and sometimes worse predicaments. And I want to assure you that the work you do here, the campaigns you promote here in America, inspire many people around the globe, including me. I and other humanist activists in the region draw strength from the legacy of Freethought in America. And we will continue to draw strength from what you are doing here as we campaign to get the people in Africa to apply the power of creativity, of reason, of intellect to the challenges we face. And one of the areas where your work has inspired us greatly is in our campaign against witch hunting in the region. In this presentation, I will highlight the threat posed by theism and religious fanaticism in this campaign. My presentation will draw a lot from my ongoing research in the north of Ghana. I chose this region because it is a data-rich environment. The region of Ghana is enchanted with witchcraft belief and other magical beliefs. More importantly, this region of Ghana has what they call the witch camps. Friends, these are the witch camps. First of all, we have what they call the Kuko camp. Kuko camp is part of a village called Kuko. It has a chief. It has a chief priest. And we have around 113 inmates, all women. Some of the women are mothers, grandmothers, and they have their children there. And most of the women there are widows. They live in single huts. They farm or fetch firewood to survive, to get money, to buy food. Some of them are also into begging. They solicit for money, they ask for money from people who come around, from visitors. And they are supported by an NGO called Action Aid and a local NGO called Sontaba. This is another camp. It's remotely located. It has 5 inmates. All of them are women from 60 years upward. So it has a priestess, and this priestess is more or less the one that is in charge of the place, and the women work in her farm. They live in huts, and they are also supported by Action Aid and a local NGO. Another camp is called the Ngani camp. It's also located in a community, and it is the only camp with what they call alleged wizards. So you have men there who fled their communities. It has a priest. It also has a chief. And most of the people there, they farm, they sell firewood, or they produce pito. That's a local, I could call it a local beer or whatever. Then some children live with their parents or with their mothers or fathers, and is also supported by a local NGO called Action Aid and Sontaba. Now, life in Ngani camp is very difficult, particularly for many of the women who are very old. So when I visited the camp, that's some weeks ago, I went to the stream, and on my way back, I saw this old woman coming from the stream. So many of them have nobody to help them. So she went to fetch water and coming back, using the walking stick, to get her way back to the hut. And I was imagining for how long she was going to do that. Another camp is called the Gushegu camp. And in this village, some of the alleged witches that live in the camp, a piece of land are located by the chief, and some of them live within the community. Some of the women, like this woman here, live with their children. It has no priest, and there are no rituals of testing to confirm whether somebody is a witch or not. There are no, when you come there, you just get there to settle and live with other victims of accusation. Now we have another camp is called the Nabule camp. Here, all the inmates are from a particular ethnic group. They call it the Kokomba. And it was established following, there was a war, there was some conflict in 1994 between the Dagombas, another ethnic group, and the Kokombas. So those of them who were in a camp within the Dagomba area fled, and they now started this Nabule camp. They live in scattered huts. It has a priest, it has a chief, and is also supported by Action Aid and Songtaba. Now, this is they call this one the Patinga camp. And it is the only camp where you have the huts, an NGO helped called the World Vision. They helped and they cemented the huts, but they are all in very bad shape now because there's no maintenance of the huts. So it has a priest. They live also in a particular section of the village, and we have only women there and a few children. And it's also supported by some NGOs. Now, this camp is where it all started. That was the first place where people settled, where alleged victims of witchcraft accusation settled, a safe place they had. There are only women with children. It has a chief, but the chief is also the priest. So he has a role of the chief and the role of the priest. And they have a hall, a meeting hall, because there has been a lot of pressure on the government to improve, to build, put in place some infrastructure. So they have a hall where they have some meetings. They're also active in politics. They do voting. And it's supported by Action Aid, Sontaba, and the Presbyterian Church. Now, there is also, I came across an orphanage that takes care of children abandoned as a result of witchcraft, and is managed by the Catholic Church, some Catholic nuns. They have zinc apartment, about 32 children, and half of them, I think around 16 of them, were accused of witchcraft, because these are disabled children, and disabled children are perceived to be evil children. So the parents abandoned them, and some of them were rescued and have been taken care of at this place. So friends, men and women accused of having malevolent magic come to these camps to settle and to spend the rest of their lives. Actually, poverty, struggle for limited resources, hatred and jealousy, ignorance, religious fanaticism, superstition, lack of rule of law, and respect for human rights are some of the remote and manifest reasons for accusation. But the situation is further complicated by three other factors. One, unchallenged local narratives that attribute most incidents of death, diseases, and misfortune to malevolent magical schemes of enemies within the family or neighborhood. Traditional notion of the world that the physical is controlled by the spiritual, by supernatural agents. Then dogmatic attitude of the population to the divination and revelations and declarations of soothsayers and traditional priests and witch hunters. Friends, this is evident in the cases of witchcraft accusations which I'm studying in the region. So I'm going to cite a few examples, and one of them is the case of Memunatu. Memunatu was accused in December of being responsible for the death of the daughter. So she was tried at a local shrine and confirmed by the priest to be responsible for as the one responsible for the illness, and she was exiled. Here, Memunatu is standing in front of the small hut in a camp. She has children. She has good apartment, cemented, zinc apartment. She has a family, and I'm going to show you the family later. But they drove her away from the community. That's where she is. She's begging to survive, or she depends on whatever they could get from the family to give her. She's not doing anything. Yeah, so her situation is very bad, and just like other people, living in the camp. Now, the daughter was sick for a long period, and according to the family, they took her to several hospitals. But her health situation worsened. She died in January, but before she died, she claimed that she was in a dream and that she saw the mother. And in northern Ghana, people take their dreams seriously. They give spiritual interpretation to dreams, particularly if the person is ill. They believe dreams are ways which the gods or spirits convey special messages to human beings. So anyone seen in a dream by a sick person is indisputably taken to be the one responsible for the illness. That's all. That's just all. So the matter was reported to the local chief. And I met the local chief, and his PRO told me that the chief now referred the matter to the shrine as a tradition. The tradition is that when these cases are brought to the chiefs, what they do is to refer it to the shrine. And that was what the chief did. And at the shrine, she was confirmed. Now, another case is, now before I get to the other case, this is actually the priest. The one wearing, the one, I think by my right there, is the young man, the priest, that tested the woman and confirmed her, or at the end of the day, said she was the one responsible for the illness. And what they use in doing this is a broom. Yes. They have 2 tests. There are so many other tests, but the major ones, the key ones, are you have the broom test. So you have the broom test, you have the foul test. So it was the broom test they used in the case of this woman. And she was confirmed as a witch. So another case is that of Mahama. Because there's always this tendency, they said, that there's a gender undertone. Yes. Yes. Most of the victims, people who are accused of witchcraft are women, yes. But there are men. And their cases are their stories are the same. But only that the number is few. There are few of them. There are around 80 of them in one of the camps. Now, Mahama is a Muslim. So it's not a question of maybe these are traditionalists. He's a Muslim. And he was accused by the cousin of killing 3 people. I met the cousin, and the cousin told me and went and showed me a grave, one of the people that Mahama was the one that killed the person. How? He said that he was appearing in their dreams, holding a gun or machete. I said, okay, he was seen in a dream holding a gun. Did you see him shoot the gun? So these are some of the questions I asked them. But for them, they said that appearing in one's dream, for them is enough. It's evidence for them, incontrovertible evidence. So he was driven out of the community, has now living in a makeshift shelter. But this is a man, he has many wives. He has a tractor, he's a farmer. You know, he has many houses. He has this kind of, they have in the north of Ghana, if you're wealthy, you have a kind of a ring of houses like that. I went to the compound, but he's now living in a small hut. And that's where he may have to spend the rest of his life. Because the cousin, the accuser, said he will not want to set his eyes on him again. That he was waiting to hear that he was dead. And that was what he was waiting for. And nothing more. So that's the situation of Mahama. Friends, Northern Ghana is a region of gods, of dogmatic believing gods. Apart from the God of Christianity, the gods of Christianity and Islam, there are innumerable other so-called local or smaller gods. Some local priests and soothsayers consult these gods. They are actually the mouthpiece of the gods. These local priests and soothsayers, often under the influence of alcohol, particularly a local brand called Akwatesh, communicate God's messages to the people. Yes, because I visited the soothsayers. Because each time you get any of the accused, they will tell you, they went to this soothsayer, they went to this priest. I said, where are they? I visited them. One of the priests, each time I went to see him, he's drunk. Yes. Because each time, he's always taking this local gin, they call apatish. He's always drunk. And as he's talking, they think that is a kind of manifestation of spirituality or divination. This man you're seeing here has a complicated case. He is in the witch camp. He is a soothsayer. He was driven out of his community because he was accused of being responsible for the illness of the brother. So the practice that made the brother and the community members to drive him out, that's what he's still doing at the witch camp. So, what do? They use cowries, pieces of rocks, kola nuts, a gong to consult the gods. The priests and soothsayers set up shrines for the gods in their families, and these shrines are places where accusations of witchcraft are confirmed through rituals performed with brooms or fowls. This is another soothsayer. I went to see him. So he brought out, this is what he uses. And he was about to bring out, I think he was about to bring out a piece of rock. And that was what he did. He just brought it out and told me, this is a god. Everything is a god in northern Ghana. A piece of rock, cowries, everything is a god. And when they throw it on the ground, they will be staring at it. They will say the gods are communicating. I said, what are they saying? What language do they speak? They will always speak the local language. So friends, these are the people causing the confusion. These are the people go to them and they will tell you, this person in your family is responsible for your illness. And of course, they did consultations for me. And when I arrived at one of the places, they told me, they asked me, they told me that the God said my father was a chief. I said, yes. Yes, that my father was a chief. They said, okay. That there's a special sacrifice I needed to do, and that we had a family god and all that, but we needed to make a sacrifice and to the gods. I said, fine. So when we went out, the guy who took me there asked me, he said, how did the soothsayer know that my father was a chief? I told him, my father is not a chief. You tell them lies, they will start divination along that lies. Anything you tell them, they will just follow that line. That's the soothsaying. But because people go there desperate, they go there, sometimes vulnerable in the sense that anything you tell them, they're looking for a solution. Nobody goes there freely and play around with them. Play around with them, you know that these guys are just empty, they're ignorant people. They don't know anything. Yeah, when they look at you, just like now, one of them looked at me, he said that he could see some metal. He could see some metal. I said, okay. He said, do you have a car or a motorbike? I said, yes, I have a motorbike. He said, okay. Okay. So he was shaking his head. So they asked me later, do you have a motorbike? How did the man know? I said, I don't even have a bicycle. I don't have a bicycle. I don't have a motorbike. I don't have a car. I don't have a bicycle. But I told the man that I had a motorbike or a car, and he didn't even get back to me to say, you lied. So that was what I was doing as I was going to them, in the course of my interviews and all that. So friends, they conduct these rituals. And one of them is actually the one I said that is conducted with a broom. And what they do some incantations, and they place the broom across the neck. And if the broom doesn't separate, that means that the person is guilty. But if the broom separates, they know that the person is innocent. Now, they have another one. They call it the fowl test. They kill the chicken, and when they slaughter the chicken, now the side with which the chicken falls, if it falls first in the sky, they know that the person is innocent. But if it falls first in the ground, they know that the person is guilty. So that is a practice. So friends, I saw this within the witch camp. Yes. And I was just traveling and I saw something like this. And my guy told me, look, he's a soothsayer that must have recommended this to somebody. You go there, you complain, they'll tell you, go and get a piece of calabash, get an egg, get a piece of cloth, and go and place it somewhere to ward off misfortune and all that. These are also soothsayers again. at a funeral because one of the people I interviewed told me that he was driven out of the community because he was hit by a corpse. I said, corpse? I thought a corpse is dead. How can a corpse hit you? They told me there's a ritual. When somebody dies and they suspect that somebody must be responsible, what they do, they carry the corpse and move around the community, and whomever the corpse hits, that's the person is taken to be the one responsible. And look at the people. These are the people who caused the problem. So, because of that, I went to a funeral. And this is a funeral, I was there. And they are trying to find, what they're doing there, they're trying to find out from the gods who killed the person. So, I think on that day, they did not, they said it was the late father or the late mother who decided to say the guy should come over to the other side, you know. So they didn't identify, they didn't point out somebody in the audience as the one who was responsible. So friends, people in northern region of Ghana believe strongly and dogmatically in the alleged revelations from the gods through the soothsayers and the local priests, even when they are literally untrue, absurd, or are in conflict with reason, science, and common sense. Some people acknowledge that some of the soothsayers and priests are fake. Yeah. Some people told me that. But that many of them are in the business, of soothsaying and ritual sacrifice for financial reasons. But they claim there are genuine ones, that there are true, that they told me that, look, there are those ones that really get some messages from the gods. Now, they claim that the true soothsayers live in the rural areas, in villages. So I visited some soothsayers and priests in rural areas and in the cities. Friends, the only difference I noticed was that those in urban areas charge higher fees. That was the difference. And you know, because of the cost of living in urban centers, they have to charge higher fees, otherwise they won't pay their rent, hunger will kill them. Yes. Now, while those in the villages, those in urban areas, they charge higher fees and they have more magical products to display and to market. Yeah, in fact, one of them told me he could conjure money, he could catch a witch, he could do what again? He could make people pass the exams, and all sorts of things. Now, but those in the rural areas, they charge very little fee, just kola nut fee. They just tell you to bring a fowl or a chicken and things like that. Maybe 50 cents, $1. But I went to a soothsayer or a priest, a local priest in the city, and before I left that place, I spent at least $30. Yeah. So, but I went to a local one, and I think I spent around $1 or $2 in a village. So that was the difference I noticed. I told lies to all of them, and none of them were able to find out, what was the truth. Now, in northern Ghana, the gods are actively involved in witchcraft accusation. Thanks to the fakery of these priests and soothsayers, these so-called God men and women. In fact, the gods, not human beings, are the main accusers. The gods confirm and ratify the accusation and suspicions. So theism and dogmatism are at the root of the problem. And I'm deeply persuaded that until the people in Ghana and Africa begin to cast doubt or disbelieve in the existence of their numerous gods, until they begin to question and freely examine the so-called divine revelations and pronouncements through and by their soothsayers and priests who front and play God, until free thinkers begin to speak out and challenge local cultural narratives and other entrenched dogmatic paranormal notions of the world, we aren't going to see yet an end to witchcraft accusation in the region. Now, what is the way forward? What do we do? We have 7 witch camps in Ghana alone. We have some camps again in Burkina Faso. So what do we do? Now, I identify what I call a 2-point agenda. First is that we need to build the capacity of these camps to take care of the inmates, to take care of the people who are there. We need to provide training and tools for our contact persons. Many of them don't have anything. They don't have books. There are no records. You know, they don't know, sometimes they don't even know how many children are there, how many men are there. They will keep guessing. So we need a database. And we need to have a way to assess the needs of the people so that we know how to assist them. Again, what I said we have to do what I call case-based dialogue. This is a bit challenging, but this is very important. Otherwise, the number will keep swelling in the camps and all that. So we need to go to the source, to the communities, to interact with the community. This is the family of the woman I showed you earlier. I visited them. And I was listening to them, and they were telling me how the woman appeared in the dream. You know, the daughter said the woman appeared in the dream and all that. I was listening to them. But I was also asking them some questions. In fact, I told them, I asked them, I said, if somebody appears in the dream and gives you some, maybe chocolate, do you come out during the day and go to the person's door and say, thank you for the chocolate you gave me in the dream? If you don't do that, then why are you going to hold somebody responsible for anything because maybe you have seen the person in your dream? So I tried sometimes to challenge carefully some of these local narratives that people you see in the dreams are responsible for the illness or accidents. So, how can you help? You can help us in so many ways. You can adopt a witch camp. Yes, it's possible. By that, support people who are there, provide some kind of, sometimes clothing, food, health care, roofing. So these are some of the ways NGOs are supporting some of these camps. More importantly, you can also help us fundraise. And I was excited to meet with Kono. Huh? Yes, I think he's at the back there. So he's coming to Ghana, and he's going to some of the camps. I'm sure when you come back, you will present your report, you know, and all that. So these are some of the things we welcome. We welcome people to visit and volunteer. Just get there if you can, or support those who want to go. So this is the way you can help us. So another way you can help us is to post the news and reports on your blogs. Sometimes people will say, oh, it's happening in Africa. Oh, it's happening there. I think that things are changing. So we should know that if it is happening there, it should also concern us. Yes. Because like now in the UK, we are having cases of accusation within the immigrant communities. Huh? Yeah. Many people from Africa who are coming to settle the UK, they found out that there are accusations going on. So, and the legal system in the UK will not say, oh, because it's Africa or it's Africans. So it is important that we also understand that this could also affect people in our country. And I want to tell you that don't be surprised that people are being abused here in the United States in the name of witchcraft. You can post it on your website. You can propose it as a topic of discussion. You can draw attention of the congressman or woman to the situation. You can also draw the attention of a human rights group or development agency. You can also support the Pathfinder, Kono and the project they're doing. That's also a very important way you can help us. Friends, I'm going to conclude with this example. This one just happened a few weeks ago. It happened in a school. Now, the young man there is the SP of the school, and the other girl wearing red there is a student. So, in December, he flogged or punished this girl And the girl, out of anger, told him, look, you will not take the graduation exam. You will see that exam, but you won't take it. So that was all. So a few weeks to the exam, this young man took ill. So he couldn't see properly. So they accused this girl of being a witch, of being the one responsible. And the girl was reported to the headmaster. I met the headmaster, and the headmaster told me that he invited this girl and pleaded with her to please forgive this young man and remove the witchcraft from him. I was looking at the headmaster of a school. So, but you know the one funny thing? I have a pastor in a Presbyterian church working in this area. So when I came, I told him about it. He told me, yes, that they called them and informed them about this case. But that he told them that he was not going to intervene. He won't get involved. That sometimes that the devil might be at work. I said, the devil might be at work? Doing what? Okay, I went. I went to the hospital. I met the young man. And I consulted with the hospital officials, and they told me that the guy had a heart problem. And because of the heart condition, that the organs were not functioning properly, including the eyes and things like that. And that if they could rectify it, that his organs would start functioning properly. So what we are trying to do now is to take him for another kind of diagnosis, or what we call the second opinion. So that's what we are trying to do now. But do you know what? The family doesn't even have the money for transportation. I'm not talking about treatment. I'm not talking about buying drugs. The family doesn't have money for transportation. So that is the case. So I visited now the girl, and it took me a lot of protocol, a lot of interviews, queries, what's your ambition and all that, before I located the girl in a very remote village. She has dropped out of the school. She wasn't in the school when I went there, but she's now staying at home. And the parents told me that because of the stigma, they decided that she was not going to go to school again, that she should come home and marry. So what I'm doing now is that we are trying to see if we can take her to another town outside the place it happened, because they told me that they wouldn't be able to get her a school within that area again because of the stigma of witchcraft. So I'm putting pressure on the family so that they could get her a place, in another school, maybe in a neighboring town. So that is the kind of challenge we are facing. Not just from the community, that's also the kind of challenge we are facing in terms of people we work with. But friends, is the devil actually at work? I don't think so. So what I did was that I tried to go to the different families. I visited them. I had a photograph with the family of the accuser. I also went to the accused, and I went to them, and I also tried to talk to them, and I'm persuading them to get over the accusation so that they could continue their education. But the fact there is this: if people with skeptical orientation, skeptical outlook, free-thinking outlook, do not intervene in this kind of situation, people will actually think the devil is at work. So what do? We have to move in and tell people the devil is not at work. Ignorance is at work. Superstition is at work. Religious fanaticism is at work. And that we who subscribe to the free thinking principles, we have what I call the rational compassion to respond to the situation. Thank you.
So we're gonna do a Q&A session. I meant to mention before we started, we're just gonna pass around the collection as we do the Q&A, and I hope that you will be generous in supporting Leo's work tonight.
Good idea. I want to show you just it's a short video. That was a video they made in December when they were trying some alleged witches. It's not the best of the video. It's not the best. So I just want to tell you now. So if there's a site you don't like, just look away. Yeah. So it's the broom test. The broom test. Yes, that is it. But I wanted to play it where I made a presentation the other time, yesterday, but it didn't work. But I just found out that it's working here. So I would like to show you that. Then I will show you another very short video, just for 2 minutes. I think the other one is for 5 minutes, of a priest at work at the shrine. I visited him in the shrine, and he did that. So first of all, let's take the witchcraft trial broom test. Sorry, I'm coming. Okay. Now, the guy standing at the back there wearing some white stuff, that's the priest. The pot there contains the water. They call it the shrine water. Now, he dips the broom into it. By dipping it in it, it means that the broom now gets the divine power. Now, but then he now puts it on the neck. Now, if the thing doesn't, if he separates, the two brooms separates, then that means that the woman is innocent. But if, maybe according to them, the gods will hold the broom together and you can't separate it, then he drags the person down, then that means that the person is guilty. So that is a priest. That's a young man, I met him. He's always drunk, 24 hours, drunk. Yeah, it means that this one is innocent. Now, I'll just show you this, but it's not the best. This one is guilty, but it's not the best of videos. I want to tell you. The person takes an oath, if I'm the one responsible, if I'm the witch, the gods should expose me. Then you see the god that behind him with the broom. So that's it. I don't like this video actually, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, this happened in December. And the man that did this, I interviewed him. So now, and people were watching and of course taking photographs. Just a moment. Good, that's the man that did the test. Now, he's going to, I came, he said I should pay some money. I'm the one that bought the chicken, yeah, because he said he was going to conjure money for me. But before you do it, he has to make sacrifice to the gods. Yeah, now look at what he's going to do. He puts the mouth of the chicken into his own mouth. You can look away if you will, please. Yes, he does incantation. He does incantation. Yeah. Then that blood, he's dropping the blood on what he's going to use to conjure money. Yeah. And he doesn't conjure any other money, US dollars. See what he has done. Yes. I told them the guy will catch infection and he will die. That's what I told them. Look at what he's doing. Yeah. That's the blood of the chicken. Now you see the chicken now, the way it rolls. Look at it. Good. Now, that is what they regard as the way gods will confirm. Now, you see the way the chicken lies this way. Yeah. That is the way they do their sacrifice. If it lies this way, they said the person is innocent. If it lies this way, they said the person is guilty. Yeah. But you can see what goes on there. Now I brought some bread because they said that's what you use. That's the bread is just sprinkling, just put a bits of it. Of course, you get the greater, the bigger portion of the bread to the child to go and eat, and the little. Now he's not doing some incantation to the gods. Yeah. That thing is that's the local gin. What I call the local gin. They call it apatesh. That's what he drinks. He calls it water. Yeah. Yeah, he does incantations. Yeah. That's what he's going to use to conjure the money. Okay, look at what he's going to do now. Look at what he's going to, just look at what he's going to do. Yeah, that's the blood, that's the bread, that's the death on the floor. Yeah. You watch what he's going to do. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Yeah. Yeah, including the droppings from the chicken. You know, because when the kid they slaughtered the chicken, there were some droppings and all that. So, yeah. I mean, this just happened some weeks ago. Yeah. So, that's the local gin. That's what that one is drinking. Both of them are always drunk. Always drunk. Always drunk. And he's a very big priest, traditional priest within the city. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. So he's now waiting for, he will give him some money, and with that, yeah, that's around maybe $5 or so, you know. So, okay, look at that. Now, the money is hidden in one of those, the money he's going to conjure is already hidden there. Yeah. That's his name incantation. Before they did this, they went out and came back with these things. And I was telling my guy that the money is inside one of those stuff. Now he will call my guy to come and place a kind of white handkerchief on it, and he will make some incantations. Mm-hmm. That's part of the thing. I was saying that those of them in town used to have magical products. You know, these are some of the things he does as part of the, apart from witch hunting, he also does this work of conjuring money. Now they will remove the handkerchief now, and he will now start pulling out the local currency he had hidden there, you know. So that's that he's giving us the money back, and then he will now start pulling out the currency. So eventually he will pull out, all he pull out there will be an equivalent of something like $50, you know. And I was telling the person, if I want to conjure money, I will not conjure $50. You know, I had more than $50 in my pocket. So if you are conjuring money for me and you are conjuring $50, I mean, it's nothing. But to the people, there is something because of the situation, the economic situation there. Yeah, he's bringing out, yeah.
Did you pay him money for you, or was this some sort of tax?
No, you will not pay them. You don't use pay because he's a priest. You don't say pay. You do some sacrifice. Yes. If you ask me, did you make some sacrifice? Yes, because I bought the chicken and also bought the gin. And these are things they need to do the stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, to prove to me that he had magical powers, you know, and all that. I'm happy this worked here. It didn't work yesterday, and I was happy. So, friends, so that is it. Now we take the questions. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's very sad what has happened. But that is an indication of the danger we are facing. This is not the first time. They have bombed UN buildings. They have attacked schools. And the trend has been going on. It's not new to us in Nigeria. There have been extremist groups, Islamic groups in the north, and they kill at the slightest provocation. But, you know, the international terrorist Al-Qaeda network situation, it has worsened the situation now. So they are more or less using all the styles, the suicide bombing, then they look for soft targets to send across their message. And they target institutions, of course, they say that are Western or Western-oriented, and all that. So it is a clear sign of the danger we face in that part of the world. And I don't know the solution. Yes, I don't have the solution. I don't know the solution. Because when you criticize Islam, they say you are Islamophobic. What they want is that when things like this happen, you say, oh, it's not everybody. It's not Islam. It's not because of Islam. It's because of what? Until we begin to pinpoint openly within a free-thinking situation, point out sometimes the Quranic basis of these problems, and point accusing fingers at the institutions responsible, because these people are not spirits. Yes, they have structures, they have networks, and they use their Islamic networks. Because I was asking friends, why is that thing not happening in other places? Why is it keeps happening within a particular area and amongst people who profess a particular religion? And people say, oh, you shouldn't say it lest you are inciting hatred or you are fueling Islamophobia and all that. I told them, before we talk about Islamophobia, let's talk about Islam-based phobia. So what we are seeing here now is a clear manifestation of Islam-based phobia, and we cannot separate it. I'll try to shy away from it and keep talking about Islamophobia. So that is a challenge. I don't know the solution, but I think that just like every other form of religious extremism, we need to criticize, we need to evaluate, we need to investigate, we need to openly express our views and opinion without fear. Otherwise, people will keep suffering, and our children, they keep, killing them while we just stand by and watch. Yeah, James, you can come and moderate, please. The ones. No, they're not Islamic practices. This. Yeah. Yeah, no. Okay, no. The question, yeah, it has nothing to do with this. Yeah, what happened is that I think that should be 2 days ago because of the time difference. 2 days ago, I think an Islamic extremist group in Nigeria called Boko Haram, yeah, they attacked a school and killed some people. So I think he was asking for my reaction. A lot of, yeah. So he was asking my reaction to the latest case of violence, yeah. But what happens here in the north, actually, Islam is the dominant religion in the north of Ghana. Just like in the north, if you watch the sub-Saharan Africa, the northern part, we always have Islam as dominant. We also have local Islamic spiritualists, they call them Malams, yeah. And much of what they do is in the area of magical potions and charms, yeah, because they have their local conception of charms. And but the Islamic spiritualists have this kind of mixture. What they do is that, like now, if you have some problems, you come to them, they will write some verses of the Quran in a kind of a piece of wood, then wash it, they wash it and give it to you to drink. So that's it. Well, I told them that I will not drink that, no matter what, So because you come with a problem and he gives you another problem to go home with at a fee, So so that's what they do. So sometimes they will, if you have a problem with your business, they could tie up something and tell you should put it somewhere in your store and things like that. So we have some local Islamic spiritualists, but they are not part of this. But like I told you, they're always drunk. Yeah. And somebody who is drunk is not mentally, sound or stable, So, and they do all sorts of things, all in the name of trying to give impression that they have magical powers. Whether they believe in it or not is something that I'm not competent to, determine. But that's what they do. Okay.
Is there a basis at all for what these people are practicing or alleging in any religion, whether it be, traditional or, and then the second part is how long has Islam been in northern Ghana? When did that?
Any basis. You see, friends, there's something I always, try to say. There's no difference between witchcraft, Christianity, and Islam. Yes, I want to tell you that. And when I say this, please understand me. I am not saying that this thing is Islam. I am not saying that this is Christianity. Yes. But as long as somebody will tell you that, somebody will come, he will just frown and stare at a point and say, oh, I can see. What are you seeing? As long as you can act and pretend to be communicating with something another person cannot see. Yeah. So, and that is one thing common in all religions. People will finish writing a book, they say it was written by a spirit, but in human language. And you ask yourself, how? They say you shouldn't question it. Now, many people don't want to question what they're doing. That's why they're getting away with all sorts of things. In fact, this young man, I was told by his assistant, has 21 children. 21 children from different women. Now, these women will come around and they say they have a problem. They said, okay, if you have a problem, you have to sleep in the shrine. That's the recommendation he gives to young ladies when they come around. Now, the person has to sleep in the shrine and will go away with pregnancy. And of course, you cannot come back to a priest, a powerful priest, to tell the priest you are the father of the child. Who are you? A priest with magical powers? And and that is the kind of thing you see. People get away, whether you are a priest, a traditional priest, a Catholic priest or something, they get away with things that they should be prosecuted and put in jail. This guy should be in jail. I'm working with him, he's my friend, he's my research friend, but he should be in jail. But I've told them that even if he's not going to jail, he will die soon. He keeps taking blood of chicken, droppings of chicken, anything he puts in his mouth and be doing something, he will get infection and he will die. Yes. So that is it. So it is common. So that some of the religions are not going to this point, they're also doing it in another form. Many people who are being killed and slaughtered in Nigeria are being slaughtered by people who feel that they have some divine mandate to impose their laws on others or they should die. And when they are dead, they feel that they're expecting a reward somewhere. Where is that place, friends? Where? Who has ever been there? So it is still the same thing. So for me, it is witchcraft in changing its code or character. But it is just the same thing. That was the first question. What was the second again?
You talk about Islamophobia, Islamism in Ghana.
How long?
Yeah, what was the migratory pattern of that?
Yeah, of course, the migratory pattern is from the north, from North Africa. Yeah, they brought, and we have so many sects, from different, Ahmadiyya and all that. And Iran is doing a lot of work there, building schools. Yeah, they're building schools and with hijab students and things like that. So Iran is doing a lot of propagation of Islam in the north of Ghana and all that. I saw some of their schools and all that. So that is it. I don't know exactly the number of years, but I'm sure maybe it's taking some hundreds of years. But Islam is older than Christianity there. Christianity is just a fringe religion, more or less, in the north of Ghana.
Sarah?
Oh, thanks. I'm wondering, what's the lineage of, well, there's two questions. What's the lineage of the priests? How do they get to be priests? Is this passed on generationally? And then what's the hierarchy? What's the relationship between the chiefs and the priests? I mean, what's that relationship look like in a community like that?
Okay, how to become priest? Yes, I asked this man, he said that, well, he inherited the powers from the mother. I want to tell you, I have never seen anybody who said I inherited the power from my father. They said they inherited it from their mother. And that he acquired some of them. In other words, before you are confirmed a priest, sometimes you have to go to another priest, and the person will now teach you the tricks, and all that. So he told me he inherited the powers from some of the powers from the mother, and he acquired the rest, and all that. So, and I must tell you this, I went to his village because he's living in the town, but he has a village. Because as I was trusting him, I went to his village, and I found out that the guy is a twin. He has another brother, a twin brother, so who is also a priest in the village. So his own is a priest in the town, in the city. That's the capital. So when I went to the one in the village, so I wanted to get a photograph of him. He told me no, that he told me, look, I don't appear in photographs. That's what he told me. I said, okay, don't worry. It's my camera, it's my digital space. Allow me to take this. If you don't appear, just leave, I will take it. He said no, that if he didn't want to appear in the camera, he will not appear. He will not come out as appear in the camera. So, well, you know what happened? Before I told him that I had taken his photograph. Yes, I had taken his photograph, and the photograph is with me. You get it? Because he was doing something else. So because the digital thing, you can always stay from anywhere. So I had taken the photograph. And when he told me this, my guy told me, oh, no, don't take. I shouldn't do it. That he will not appear. Why would he appear in photographs? And these are claims you hear among all the religions. They will tell you, hey, this Jesus appeared here, or Mary, we saw Mary here. He talked to me, he said this. What language? So it is still the same thing. It cuts across. It cuts across there. So that's about how they do it. They inherit it from their mothers, they tell me, and they acquire the rest. Then what's the hierarchy? What's the relationship with the priest? Now, with the chiefs. The priests are in charge of spiritual matters, more or less. The chiefs are busy collecting money. If the number of Kono, I think they told you that you have to get some money for the chiefs. Come on, money. Yes. They told him that the official letter, they told him that he has to budget for money for the chiefs. Yes, because when you go there to see them, they will tell you, you have to give them money, and you have to give money to the person who will take you to the chief. And all that. So before you go out of the place, you have to spend some money. So that's what the chiefs are doing. Then when they bring these cases, they will now refer them to the priest. So the priests are the ones that will tell the chiefs, this is the person who is actually the witch or the wizard. It is not the chief that. The chief might persuade you, oh, did you do this thing? Okay, go and undo it, go and resolve it, go and remove it, forgive the person, try to persuade the person. But if the person insists and keeps denying, then they will now take the person to the shrine, to these people like this, and they will confirm them. Then they will now refer the matter back. Then the person will now be sent to the witch camp or sacked from the community or relocated to another village.
With respect to the magicians union, it feels like if a magician went through and did tricks and then showed the tricks, that might at least plant seeds of doubt in people. In the slide you mentioned that people at the camps, you refer to them as inmates. Is it a matter of they're pushed out, or is a place of refuge for them, or?
Yeah, English is not my mother tongue, so sometimes you don't even know the word to use. So, if that's not appropriate word, then you can tell me what is appropriate. But what happens there is that people, they are driven out. They don't have any other place to go. So that is the place they can go and feel safe. That is it. So they live there. That is more or less where they're going to live. Many of them will spend the rest of their life there. Yeah, so I don't know how else to describe it. They are refugees, but they are not recognized by the UN. Yes, but these people are living there as refugees. They are not taken care of by the street. They are not taken care of by any international organizations. NGOs will come around, they buy some bags of soap, snap some photos, and go home. Or they drop some posters and others and put their banner or whatever there and go home. So that's the kind of thing we're getting there.
It's a question about the two guys in the video there, the chicken and so on. They don't, have a lot of pretense to what they do. They don't work in any kind of big temple. They don't wear fancy robes. They must be kind of just apparent to their fellow villagers that they're a couple of drunk guys. So I'm wondering, in the face of that, without that sort of artificial sheen of fancy clothes and building and so on, how do they maintain their stature when they just seem like any other drunken guys that would be viewed as irresponsible, good for nothing people?
Well, I'm the one that described them as drunk. Yes. Because I went there with a driver. I told my driver, look, this guy is always drunk. He told me that, they need to, be drunk so that they could do their work. Can you see it? So I'm describing him as drunk, as a rascal, as an idiot, as somebody who will die very soon as a result of his careless, reckless life. That's the way I look at it. But others see those things as manifestation of magic and spirituality. Yes. So that's just it. And with that, they maintain their image. People still come to him. People keep consulting him. And he keeps inviting me, come and see. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and all that. Yeah. So they maintain the image, but because they don't see them as drunk. They see that drunkenness as a way of communicating or reaching out to the divine. And he's not the only one. And there was another soothsayer I went to. Before I moved in, he called the assistant and they brought him this kind of Coke bottle filled with the gin. And he took it. And as he was talking to me, he was rolling his eyes this way and saying all sorts of meaningless things and all that, all in the name of divination. Yeah.
Let's just do a couple more, and then we're going to move into our social hall for some refreshments. You can ask more questions. Let me go to someone that hasn't asked a question yet, in the back.
Okay, I wanted to know if any of the women are murdered or killed by the chief, I want to say voodoo king or whatever. Are the women ever, are their lives taken at all that are involved in witchcraft?
Are they ever murdered, yeah? Yeah. Well, in the north of Ghana, because of the mechanism of the witch camp, most times they don't want to wait to be attacked. The families do not want to wait for the person to be attacked. So immediately there's a tension, they will sneak the person away. And before you know, the person will now, will surface or will now be staying in the camp. In fact, the first woman I showed you, the family did not want to tell me where she was. Because they were afraid that the person could be, they could go and attack the person there. Even though it has never happened, according to, as I was told. But because of this, the witch camps, immediately it happens, they will always transfer people there before things get worse. But that one was actually attacked. He was beaten. He was beaten. I think they used a stone or something. They threw it on the head, and they broke. He had some injury here on the head, and she was rushed to the hospital and things like that. So there's always this kind of intimidation, and all that. There was a particular case, I met this man in an open place. I was telling him about the witchcraft thing. So he told me that, look, that immediately you suspect any woman of witchcraft, that do you know what you have to do? Just bring a very sharp machete. That's what he told me. A very sharp machete, cutlass. Yeah. Yeah, machete, I do. Yeah. That's you should bring a very sharp one. That immediately you bring it, that the woman will confess. Yeah. So I looked at him. So that is it. So they'll do everything to intimidate the person, threaten the person, and all that. Now when the person refuses to submit, to confess, and all that, be humiliated, be maltreated, So, but families do not wait for the thing to get to that point because they have the witch camp. So what they do, they rush the person there immediately. So that's the way it happens there. So I've not had any case, but people have been beaten, stoned. They threw stone on the person. People have been flogged, and all that. A woman they used the nail. They nailed the woman's leg to the ground. One woman, they put the nail, and all that. So people have been tortured terribly, but I have not had any case of anyone murdered in the north of Ghana. Yeah, but in other parts of Africa, in Kenya, they are burnt, they are lynched. In Nigeria, they are lynched, they are killed. They are beaten to death. They are burnt, they put fuel, tire on them and get them lynched. So that's in other parts of, in other parts of the continent, but not in the north of Ghana.
So from a Christian perspective, both the conjurer, soothsayer, and the witch who causes illness would both be considered magical and evil. So I'm sort of trying to get a perspective where it's differentiated that this kind of magic is okay, but making someone ill is not, or making money off of somebody else's misfortune is not okay.
Is that a question or a comment?
Yes. How do you differentiate what's okay and what gets you the witch camp?
How do I differentiate what is okay? Number one is that, first of all, we talk about magic. What is okay by magic is a trick. It's like what is okay with playing people tricks, exploiting people. You get it? So now, if you are to look at it, how do people conceive it?
Right, yes.
How do people conceive it? Yes. How do people conceive it is that people who are conjuring money, those ones are not, they are looked as a kind of positive magic, But people who are killing people, and that is what they call witchcraft. In the north of Ghana, when they talk about witchcraft, they talk about killing somebody in a spiritual way. Yeah. So, and I'm going to tell you, just a short story based on that, before we conclude. So, this one is looked at positively. Those who give you charms for your business, positively. Those who give to the women some charms to make sure their husbands do not go after other women, positive. Those ones are seen as positive. Nobody will go and attack you for that because they think that you are helping them. You are helping solve the problem. Even the witch hunters are looked at positively because they are taken to be doing social service. Yes. Picking out the witches who are killing and destroying children, they are rendering, people go to hire them, pay them to come and remove these evil people from the communities. So it's looked at positively from that perspective. Yeah, but I want to tell you there was a case last month. A boy around 20 died, and a woman was suspected to be responsible for the death because it was alleged that this guy that died saw the woman in his dream before he died. Now, I was also told that the family went to a soothsayer, and the soothsayer told them that there was a black woman in the family, that a black woman was responsible for the death. So the young man, the son of the woman, was telling me that, look, that in their family, all the women were black. All the women in the family were black. But that what happened was that the mother was, how do I say, the darkest or the blackest? So the mother, so according to them, so they now looked for who was the darkest, of all the women. So that's how they now pointed out that the woman was responsible. So I went to see the family, because that's what I do. I go to the accuser, I go to the accused family. So I went to see the family, and meanwhile, the young man, the son of the accused, had reported the matter to the police. So I went to see the family of the accusers, and they were very angry. You know what I told them? He said, look, that upon what this woman did, that the son still went and reported the matter to the police. Yes. So there was this given, there was this thing that's evident that this family killed our son or killed our brother. And that upon that they went and reported the matter to the police. And according to the son of the accused, the accuser's family, they said that they should come and ask for forgiveness. Yes. And he now told me, he said, forgiveness for what? Forgiveness for doing what? So that is the way, things are conceived there. And I've been trying to manage, I want to see how the police is going to handle the issue, because the matter is right now before the police in the northern region.
So it does wind up in the hands of the police sometimes.
That what?
It does wind up in the hands of the police sometimes.
Yeah, but what happens is that in this case, people don't report witchcraft accusation to the police, number one, because they don't like going to the police. They prefer going to the shrine, because that's their tradition, and sending the accused to the witch camp for the sake of peace. That's what they told me, for the peace student. They told me that if I was trying to bring back the man, that there would be problem, that I should leave their family members, mothers or fathers, to stay there for the sake of peace. I told them, how can you have peace when your parents are living in makeshift camps? Now, Kono, when you go to Ngani, you will see where they're living. Do you get it? And some of them, they have apartments, they have buildings, sometimes not exactly like this, but something close to this way. And they're now living in huts, sleeping on the floor. I told them, you can't have peace. I told them, what kind of peace is that? So, but that is the mindset there. So they don't want to bring in the police, because police will ask for evidence. Yes. Police will ask for evidence. And that was what I told this family that accused the woman. Because when I came, they asked me, come, do I believe in witchcraft? I said, they have come. So I said, okay, not as you believe it here. That was my answer. That was my answer. They said, no, I should tell them clearly that, would I believe in witchcraft? I said, not as you believe it here. That's the way you believe it here. That's not the way I believe it. That's not the way I believe it. They said, okay, do you believe that somebody could kill another person spiritually? I said, with what? They were angry. They said, okay, I will not understand. I will not understand. And that is it. So that's the kind of situation. So as long as you don't believe that somebody could kill another person spiritually or something like that, they just have a feeling that maybe you will not be able to understand them, and all that.
I'm sorry, James.
Okay, one final question, and then let's go have some
I
refreshments.
would just really like to say, when we see things like that, I think comes up lack of education from poverty. When people are feeling helpless, like for example in Iran, when people, the poor people get sick, they don't have enough money to get to the doctor, so they offer money to the shrine, which this money are being collected. At the end of the month, the government agency comes and pick up all this money and take them for themselves. So the origin of this, all these things has to do with the poverty and economy. Like I know, for example, in Nigeria, the shell company really destroying their whole land, the seas that agriculture, people really need those lands. People need the sea. But the shell company is destroying it for past 30 years and they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And then in Iran, one thing that I like to say about Iran, they don't really they want to create chaos by helping the Islam people in Nigeria in other countries.
Yeah.
They really want to create chaos. And they're not actually, they're desperately Russia or China, which they both are communists, they don't believe in God, and they create a lot of big problems with the Muslim people close to the country.
Yeah.
So it's for their purpose, being in Nigeria or in other country is really creating chaos.
Yeah.
Using Islam to create chaos in the world so they can stay in power.
Yeah. Okay. Noted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.